So hello everyone, here we are in the eastern ranges of Victoria with Colin. Colin is a hazelnut grower and a truffle grower.
Truffle grower, yeah.
Yes, and Colin supplies the plant shop with these beautiful hazelnut trees and beautiful truffle trees. And here we are, what would you call this, Colin? This is like a...
Well, this is our field bed for how we propagate our hazelnuts.
Right.
And there's a lot of plants here because most of our farming system provides a lot of orchard right through the eastern side of Australia.
Right, okay. So what we have here are what you call the pollinated trees for the hazelnuts?
Well, these are the Ennis, which is the main variety, which is the large jumbo nut.
Okay.
And then there's 6 pollinisers, which but they all cross-pollinate each other.
Right.
But to successfully grow Ennis, you do need some early and mid and late pollinisers to make sure there's always pollen in the orchard.
Okay.
In winter when the Ennis female flowers are open.
Right. So hazelnuts pollinate in the winter time.
Yeah. So you'll find that the hazelnuts produce these long catkins, which
Can we see those? Colin?
they're not. There's none just here.
So that's a little...
Oh, there's one there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So there's a little one here. You can just see the little catkin. And when they'll grow out and grow 2 inches long, then they'll emit all their pollen, which is this lovely colourful dust. And you'll find that spreading right through the grove, and you need that to pollinate each variety.
Right, okay. So the other varieties that you have, when you buy one of the hazelnuts from the plant shop, you get the pollinator, the Ennis, which is the big jumbo nut.
Yep.
And then you have a choice of 3 other
Yes,
varieties?
you do. And those 3 varieties are, one is Butler, which is an early produces pollen early.
Yes.
And then there's Cassina, which is a small nut but used in chocolate.
Ah, that's the Toblerone one.
Yeah, that's the one. And that sheds its pollen in the middle of the season.
Yes.
And then the late season is one called Jemptigard or J5.
Okay, right.
So technically you need 3 of those with some Ennis to get good nut production for the whole season.
And that will give you nuts all through the season?
Yes.
Commencing when? When do the nuts start to fall?
The nuts usually fall late February and into March.
Terrific.
And they fall, so you don't need to climb trees
or
shake trees or anything. It's an easy crop.
That's fantastic, so you can just go and gather your nuts.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And the other thing with hazelnuts, they have very minimal inputs in terms of not too much chemicals. You can grow them organically, which is fantastic for people. And also they get very few pest and diseases. So it's a very easy crop to grow.
Yes. And if you were going to grow them in a small garden, Colin, would you grow them as a tree or would you grow them as a hedge, or what options do you have to grow them?
Hazelnuts are naturally a shrub. So if they want to, they'll grow into a big round shrub, and I think it's much better. The hazelnut growers train them back to a single stem, and they'll prune off any of the basal shoots so they try and train them into a small tree. They look attractive. And also it's easier to harvest your nuts because they don't get caught in amongst all of the bushes and they fall to the ground.
Yes.
But in Italy they're tending to grow them with 4 stems rather than just a single. It's a bit easier.
Okay.
So it's a choice people have.
Right, okay. And they can buy them from the plant shop potted through most of the year, but over winter time we sell the hazelnuts in a different way, don't we? We sell them loose rooted.
Yeah, they're bare rooted. So what we do here, these are currently they have roots within the sawdust. We'll harvest these trees once we've lost our leaves.
Yes.
Some have already lost their leaves and we've got them now. And we can bag in a bag with some sawdust to keep the roots nice and moist, and they're bare rooted and you get two plants.
Yes,
so they're
terrific.
2 cross-pollinating plants.
That's great value, isn't it? And I suppose the important thing to tell people is even if they haven't got time to plant them in their final position when they arrive from the plant shop, even if they just healed them into the ground to keep the roots moist or into a pot until they found their right position.
Yes, absolutely. The critical thing is to plant them before they reshoot, and you'll notice the buds will swell about the end of August.
Yes.
So we need to get them in their final place where they're going to grow, say early September, before the buds burst.
Fantastic. And how soon would you start to get nuts from your hazelnut this size?
That's a really good question. You can see these aren't throwing very many catkins, just a couple. What'll happen after 2 to 3 years, you'll get a lot more catkins produced, and then you start getting nuts. So I think even even in the second year, so if you're planting these next year, you might get an odd nut,
Yes.
and then after say 2 or 3 years, then you start to get a lot more.
Right, okay, fantastic.
Commercially, it's up to about 6 years, and they're in full production.
Wow. And how long do they live for? Is it many, many years, tens of years?
I was in France a few years ago, and I saw a hazelnut that was 80 years old,
Goodness me.
and it was huge.
That's a grandfather.
Yeah. No, they do.
Marvellous.
They can be very, very long-lived.
That's fantastic. Well, what a great crop to grow. Thank you, Colin. That's terrific.
All right, Susie.
Okay.
Thank you.